This is a King Air 360 with Proline Fusion. We're doing an initial training and the checklist and pre-flight on the interior. We've already done the back pre-flight for the cabin and the cockpit on the monogram electric toilet knife valve. We did ensure that that was open. Baggage we don't have yet. Passengers are still on the way. Aft exit signs we have tested as well. The forward exit sign we've tested. Emergency exits are secure and unlocked. Control locks remove. On the King Air, we do not use any of the floor lock. There is a longer floor lock that goes down in the carpet. We never recommend that by company procedures. You'll have to check with your company to see if they want that used, but that can damage the airplane if at any point in time that they tow the aircraft with that floor lock engaged. Okay, control locks are removed. Parking brake set. Go ahead and press on the toe brakes. That presses hydraulic pressure into the system, and the parking brake blocks that hydraulic pressure from leaking off. Landing gear control should be down. That's the handle. Condition levers should be at cutoff. Trim controls, we want to put the elevator set to 2 units nose up. And what we're looking for there is the specific setting on the exterior of the aircraft when we do the outside pre-flight as well. Rudder and aileron trim should be set to 0. Battery bus to normal. Voltmeter, we want to check our voltage on the battery position. We now have power from the battery to the meter. So we are showing at 24 volts there. 23 is a minimum. All other positions should be 0.
And we have external power, so we're 28.
Okay, we do have external power on today, but we do not have the switch on as of yet. We're going to go to left MFD, right MFD. Those are clean. We can clean those now with them off so that we don't put any inputs on the screen itself, but we don't need to worry about that today. Battery on. The landing gears handle or the gear down indicator should be illuminated, left, right, and nose.
Green.
Fuel quantities we want to check. We're just at 2,500 pounds of fuel today on the mains. Let's check our oxes. Make sure that we don't have any fuel in the oxes as well. Today we're just going to the Bahamas and back. 2,500 pounds will be sufficient out of Miami to Nassau and return. Voltmeter, we now want to check our volts above. On the triple fed bus, we want a 22 volt minimum. And the reason being is a different portion of that. Right and left gen should be at 0. There we've got the center bus. We know that the center bus is receiving, but in the triple fed, there it was. We just didn't have it in the right position. It's just off center just a little bit. We lose 1 volt between the battery and the triple fed because of the diodes. So that's why a difference in that. We already checked the center. It's at 23. Gen ties, we'll go manual close. That's going to allow power to all of the bus and all of the bus systems. Voltmeter now should be left and right gens to 23 volts if you want to check the left and right gen as well. There we go, that's the right and that's the left. That looks better. Flaps, if desired, we can go ahead and move them down. We're going to do an external pre-flight as well, but we're not going to do that at this moment, so we're not going to move that. On the King Air 360, we've gone to a digital flap system, and the indicator is now moved on to the PFD or the MFD once we get all of the avionics up as well. Air stair door circuitry, we did check that as well. We'll go battery would typically go off on it, but we're going to switch over to a separate portion of the checklist. Oxygen system pre-flight inspection. Let's go ahead and pull that on as well. It's an expanded procedure on page N28. One of the pilots previously had crossed all of this stuff off that was not correct for this, but he did this on the main checklist instead of his personal checklist, unfortunately. Passenger manual drop off is in, system ready. We've already got it on, oxygen mask. We're going to go ahead and check the flow. Go ahead and check your side, or my side as well. Okay, and we've got plenty of oxygen as well. I'm showing over 1,500 pounds. I think a full bottle is around 1720 at specific temperature and altitude. Okay, now goes to the exterior, but we've already completed that. We're going to go on to the before starting engine checklist. And we're going to switch down to a portion where we actually have our battery on, or a place close to that. We've already done the parking brake, control oxygen system. The ELT switch is by your left elbow. It should be armed. Fuel panel check. Now we want to go to standby pumps are off.
Off.
Yep. Crossfeed should be off.
Crossfeed's off.
Aux transfer switches should go to auto.
Auto and auto.
Okay. Circuit breakers should be in.
They're in.
And we'll finish a little bit more of that fuel panel here a little bit later on in the checklist. Pilot's instrument, sub-panel, panel and sub-panel. We're just wanting to make sure all of our switches in the correct position. We want the auto ignitions off, the engine anti-ice on for ground operations. Lights should be in the correct position. Most of the time I run beacon and nav all the time, but because we're in here doing some of the training pieces, we've got the beacon and the nav off. And the reason I do both is because I fly so many different models. Some models have the triple fed bus system on the beacon, some have it on the nav, and I use both just to make sure that when I'm outside of the aircraft, it will alert me if I've missed a battery switch. Standby flight display system power. We want to go into the test side. If you want to go ahead and test your standby system, should have a light down there on the bottom side on the test. That's green. That's good. Now we can go to on. And we're going to start to see it initialize.
Auto throttle. Auto throttle.
On the 360, of course, with the auto throttles, it will go through a testing phase. We'll see those move here in about 60 seconds. On the 360, friction locks have to be completely removed by the manufacturer's suggestion or limitation. I'm not sure which. They have to be completely unlocked on the friction locks for auto throttles. Battery bus should be confirmed norm. Go ahead and
normal.
Yep. Engine anti-ice should be on and main.
On and main.
Landing gear circuit breaker should be in.
Confirmed in.
Landing gear control should be down.
Down.
Power console level, there you're actually seeing the power levers now aligning and ensuring that they are correct for the auto throttle system. Power console and pedestal check. So go ahead and bring those on back to idle. Make sure that they're all the way back. Idle friction locks we've already checked and they are unlocked. Prop levers go full forward and friction set. Condition levers should be in cutoff prior to engine start and friction set. Oxygen controls we've already checked. Reversionary switch panel. Of course, we've got several switches on the system that are either in the down or the middle position for normal, so you're going to have to be very careful and ensure that they're all in the normal position. Speaker inhibits off, prop sync is on, emergency frequency should be off. And we've completed all of that on the checklist side. Co-pilot subpanel and instrument panel set. We've got the window defog is off. ECS mode is off, auto and auto. Electric heat should be off as well. That is in the off position, so that shouldn't be an issue. Right circuit breaker panels, we'll check all of those. We've got the right overhead panel, the right circuit breaker panel, overhead panel switch. Data load should be off. We did just upload the Fusion avionics and just completed a video of how to do avionics uploads on the Fusion, Proline Fusion. Master panel lights as required. Today it's daytime, we're going to be off there. Interior master's off, fasten seatbelts off. Cabin lights are off as well as instrument emergency lights are all off. Battery should be on. I think we've already got it on.
It's on.
fuel system check. And I tell you what, while we're here, since we already have GPU hooked up, we've already checked it. Let's check our external power voltage, make sure that it's showing 28. Anytime we're using external power, battery switch must be on by limitation to ensure that any spikes go through the battery and not through the electrical system. We are at 28 volts. Let's go ahead and go external power on. That's going to give us 28 volts in the system. You'll hear the system actually power up and speed up in the fans and such that are a part of that as well. Let's go through our fuel system check. We've got, now that's an expanded procedure. We can go over here to N31. I will do that even though I have that memorized, but I want to show how the expanded procedure is a part of that normal process for those especially who are new. Firewall fuel valves will go closed, so ensure that you open the correct cage. The fire extinguisher cover should be wired, safety wired shut with a very light wire so you don't accidentally pull on the wrong one. We are showing closed and closed. We're going to go standby pumps on at this point. Yep. So we'll go standby pumps. We do have fuel pressure showing, and we should continue to have those illuminated as we go with the standby pumps on, because we're pushing pressure up to the firewall valve but not past it, and so we are not extinguishing that annunciator. Now the firewall valves will go open. We should lose the annunciator. Yeah, there's the left and there's the right. And now we've lost the annunciator. Now the standby pumps go off. We should get the annunciator of lack of fuel pressure in the system once again, left and right. Now as we go into, there's the right side. That looks good. That's correct. We'll go into crossfeed now. We're going to use one standby pump on the crossfeed system, which should power both sides. So we've now opened the system. We know that the left pump or the right pump was working in that situation. Now we're going to do it the other direction as well. We'll push to the right. Now the left pump is supplying pressure to both systems. That's working correctly. Crossfeed off. Fuel quantity test. Go into the test mode. What we're actually testing is the low fuel quantity gauges to make sure it should get an annunciator once we get down to about 30 minutes worth of power at max power settings. Okay, that is the end of the fuel system test. We'll go back to the number 24, which is that fuel system test. The fuel quantity we've already looked at. Pilot subpanel is the landing gear control lights test.
We got 3 green.
Okay. We're looking for the 2 red lights that indicate anytime we have a red light that the gear is not in the position that we have requested, or we've actually got a power lever back as well. We can talk about that at another point. Hydraulic fluid sensor test takes about 5 seconds. The newer models are much faster. The 360 is very, very quick on its to illuminate and extinguish. Beacon should go on at this point. You go ahead and turn the beacon on. And on this model, at least he's got it crossed out on the co-pilot sub-panel. We're at 1201 and after. Stall warning and landing gear test. Stall is audible. Landing gear, audible and visual. We've got the engine fire test, which is on the extinguish, and we're only checking the lights up on the panel to ensure that they work correctly on the extinguish. On the detection, it's one side at a time, audible and visual, and right side, audible and visual.
Right engine.
Cockpit voice recorder panel. We've got a test mode down on it. They've changed the position on those. On a few of them, you got to hold that for about 5 seconds to get the thing locked to ensure that that is correct. Okay, we're now ready for the engine starting, which would go directly into the items that we did not complete if we were doing a restart. So it would take you through gen ties, prop area clear, and then right ignition and engine start as well. So that completes the pre-flight cockpit pre-flight portion on the King Air 360.